This month, the galaxy's forums were buzzing, and it's all thanks to humanity. When the chips were down, we didn't just survive, we improvised, outsmarted, and outright shocked our alien neighbors. I'm your host from Galactic Chronicles, and we're counting down the best HFY stories from December 2025. These are the tales that had aliens whispering our name in both fear and awe. Kicking things off, we have a story from author Volatile Spice over on the r/HFY subreddit. It's a brilliant reminder that sometimes the most effective weapon is the one you least expect. It's called the Cayenne Protocol. Picture this, the Starlight Diplomat, a top-of-the-line vessel for interspecies peace talks, a place where ancient wars are settled. The head chef is a human named Miles, and everyone sees him as a lovable weirdo. He's obsessed with old Earth spices, these strange, sometimes painful plant powders. The ship's tough-as-nails Cathar security detail thinks he's just a soft creature playing with flavored dust. That all changed when the Vexian pirates boarded. These guys are brutal, efficient insectoids whose armor laughs at standard plasma stunners. They took down the ship's defenses in minutes and had the entire bridge crew, Cathar guards included, pinned down. The ship was theirs. But they made one tiny mistake. They forgot about the human chef. As the pirates stormed the galley, Miles wasn't hiding, he was preparing. He'd already dumped vats of cooking oil all over the floor, turning it into a slick death trap. The first Vexian that charged in went from terrifying pirate to clumsy mess in seconds, crashing hard onto its back. But that was just the setup. From behind a counter, Miles popped up holding a modified fire extinguisher. He'd tinkered with the nozzle to create the widest possible spray. The Vexians raised their weapons, but Miles was quicker. He squeezed the trigger, and a thick, reddish-orange cloud blasted down the corridor. It wasn't foam, it was a fine powder of ghost peppers. For us, it's a spice that makes your eyes water and your tongue burn. But for a species that evolved in sterile, chemically pure environments, it was a biological apocalypse. Their delicate respiratory spiracles, designed to filter tiny trace elements from the air, were instantly clogged with a concentrated neurotoxin. The pirates let out this high-pitched shriek of pure agony. They dropped their weapons, clawing at their own bodies as the capsaicin triggered a total shutdown of their respiratory and nervous systems. They were suffocating, their own biology turned against them by a simple pepper. When the bridge crew finally retook the galley, they found the galaxy's most feared pirates curled up on the floor, completely incapacitated. Miles was standing over them, just calmly wiping his hands on his apron. The Cathar captain, his mandibles hanging open, asked what kind of advanced neuro-weapon he'd just used. Miles just shrugged. Weapon? That was the garnish for tonight's chili. Goes to show, you should never underestimate a human chef. Now, let's see what happens when you let an engineer get their hands dirty. Our second story, Percussive Maintenance, hosted by Smack It With a Rock, honors a particularly human approach to problem solving. The exploration ship Xylar's Wisdom was dead in the water, 100 light-years from anywhere friendly. A plasma conduit in the main drive was shot, and the crew, a super-intelligent and physically delicate species called the Glim, was stumped. These beings are masters of nanotech and quantum engineering. Their tools are literal beams of light and atom-weaving micro-drones. They spent 3 days recalibrating energy flows and running simulations down to the nanometer. And nothing. The drive was dead. There was one human on board, an exchange engineer named Anya Sharma. She was mostly there as an observer, a primitive from a death world whose biology fascinated the Glim. For 3 days, she watched them float around the engine room, whispering equations at each other. Finally, she'd had enough. She floated over to the Glim commander. "You mind if I try something?" The commander, shimmering with exhaustion, basically waved her on. What's the worst she could do? Anya didn't grab a fancy scanner. She went to the emergency toolkit, a case of old-fashioned solid tools insisted upon by the human Glim exchange program, and pulled out a heavy, solid steel mallet. The Glim watched in absolute horror. "What is that thing?" one whispered. "A kinetic impactor?" Anya ignored them. She sized up the plasma conduit, not with sensors, but with her eyes. She ran a hand along it, feeling for the tiniest imperfection. Then she braced her feet and swung the mallet. Clang! The sound was like a curse in the silent engine room. One of the Glim actually fainted. The commander flared a frantic red. "What did you do? You could have caused a microfracture that would..." Whoosh! Hum. A steady blue glow filled the conduit. On the main console, a light blinked green. Drive online. Total stunned silence. The Glim commander floated to Anya, its light form a pale, confused white. How? Our diagnostics were flawless. The energy flow was theoretically perfect. Anya just patted the mallet. Theory was fine, but a little piece of slag got knocked loose in our last jump. It was blocking the injector. Just needed a good whack. The Glim didn't have a word for whack. The concept of fixing something by hitting it was completely alien. That day, they learned that the most advanced solution isn't always a quantum equation. Sometimes it's just a human who knows you have to hit the thing until it works. If you're loving these tales of human ingenuity, do us a favor and smack that like button and subscribe for more stories from the Humanity Fuck Yeah universe. For a final story this month, we have a true epic of human stubbornness. This one is called The Gardener's War, hosted by longtime contributor Patient Zero. For 50 years, the galactic community laughed at humanity's biggest project, trying to terraform Tartarus, a useless, airless moon. They called it a colossal waste of resources. The Xylos Federation had even proven with 99% certainty that it was impossible. The moon's core was too dense to ever hold an atmosphere. But the humans kept at it. They sent generation ships with thousands of engineers and botanists, all living under huge domes. They called themselves the Gardeners. To the rest of the galaxy, it was a joke, a monument to human arrogance. Then the Scourge arrived. The Scourge are biomechanical hive mind that eats entire systems for breakfast. When they swarmed the nebula, the galaxy wrote off the Tartarus colony as a sad but predictable loss. A small fleet was sent to try and evacuate some humans, but it was too late. The Scourge already had the moon blockaded. As the Allied fleet watched from a safe distance, basically preparing to record humanity's final moments for the history books, something impossible happened. The surface of Tartarus cracked open. From dozens massive fissures, hidden under 50 years of dirt and rock, rose the largest fleet of warships the galaxy had ever seen. These weren't just ships, they were mobile fortresses, bristling with planet-killer cannons and drone bays that swarmed like hornets. The energy signatures were completely off the charts. Those so-called gardeners hadn't been planting trees for 50 years under the perfect cover of a failed science project. Humanity had been building a secret navy. Every bit of metal they mined for soil, every geological survey to find water, every dome built to protect plants, it was all a massive lie. They were building a weapon. The Scourge, expecting to roll over a helpless civilian colony, were caught completely flat-footed. Their hive mind couldn't process this sudden, overwhelming military force that just erupted from the ground. The battle wasn't a battle, it was a slaughter. The human fleet, secretly designed to counter the Scourge, tore them to pieces. The Allied fleet just watched, stunned, as the harmless gardeners wiped out a threat that had brought empires to their knees. When the Allied admiral finally got on the comms, his voice trembling, he asked the human commander how they kept a project this huge a secret for so long. The human commander's reply went out across the whole galactic network. "Oh, we told everyone we were just doing a bit of gardening. You all just chose not to look too closely at the fertilizer." And there you have it. 3 stories from December 2025 that prove whether it's with spicy food, a simple hammer, or a 50-year lie, humanity always finds a way. Which one was your favorite? The chef, the engineer, or the gardeners? Let us know in the comments below. We also want to give a massive shout out to the original authors on r/HFY, Volatile Spice, Smack It With a Rock, and Patient Zero. Thank you for sharing these incredible stories with us all. For more of the best HFY stories from around the web, make sure you're subscribed and have that notification bell on. We'll see you in the next transmission.